Hello there and good evening everyone, and welcome to SimRace.tv's live and uninterrupted coverage for rounds 4 to 6 of the 2012 GPVWC Masters Series. I'm Scott Woodwis, and as always I'll be doing the commentary and cameras for you this evening, and we are here, as you see there, for rounds 4 and 6 at the legendary home of British motorsport, that is Silverstone. To give you live pictures then, looking at what was currently fourth placed boy Bryson, who's now decided to avoid that lap altogether. But yes, we're here for the home of British motorsports. We are here for Silverstone. We're going to be using the full brand new Grand Prix layout, and it should be pretty intriguing to see just how everything shapes up compared to Monza, which was a few weeks ago. Just right at the tail end of practice here as we go towards the qualifying session, and whilst we're waiting for that, we can definitely take you through some new faces in some of the cars this evening. Now, one driver that I know, a couple of drivers that I've seen noticed are out there, a few new drivers. This man here, you may recognise him from the Super League. There's of course Mr. Nick Rowland. He's currently second in the championship. He's been away for a few weeks, but he has returned, and this time he's at the wheel of an RB Racing touring car. He is in what is usually Kieran Ryan's car, and he's in that one. He was currently third quickest at the moment. I think he's maybe going for another lap, but then practice has now ended, so we're going to go to the qualifying session pretty soon. Also, who is up there at the moment and was in P7 is this man here, Simon Melowich. Now he goes, whoa! And just we said that's Nick Rowland, who goes coasting, goes sliding across the curves there, almost miping Simon Melowich out. But Simon Melowich also for RB Racing, and he is in this machine here. And he's usually the man who looks after our cameras on some occasions for broadcasting. Also oversees Torrent Motorsport. He's decided to get behind the wheel this time rather than behind the camera, and he's been knocked down to 8th quickest so far in this practice session. A few more cars out there trying to finish some lap times, and big competitive field we're seeing so far at the moment. We've got, looks at the moment, 28 cars in the server. About 30 we had just over that in the Monza race, and we'll touch on the Monza results and the championship standings in just a moment before we get through to qualifying. We can do some of the prominent names from last time out. Scott Bennett impressed very much. He was third quickest in that session. As you see him there, we should be able to access the second if we can get it working. There we go. That's better. So that's his car here. And then moving on to the qualifying session. So whilst we're waiting for qualifying to get started, let's have a quick gander, if you like, at the results from Monza, and of course then going on to the championship standings. So in terms of the winners from Monza, as the pit lane starts to stack up at the end. It's a 10-minute qualifying session, by the way, and we'll have a look at what's going on track at in a moment. By the results, don't actually have those on record, but actually, tell you what we'll do. We'll bring the standings up so we can have a look at that and see exactly who is where, right there on the system here. And no, I'm going to have to go to the wiki instead. So do bear with me, and we'll bring the Master Series Championship results up in a second. But in the background, as you'll probably see, qualifying has already got underway. I think we can also even have a look and see who were the victors last time out. Let's have a look here and see if we can. 2012 Monza Masters, here we go. So results from all three races. It was Eric Twite that took the first race win from David Carl Smith and Martin Schumacher. Race 2 was Dave Carl Smith ahead of Eric Twite this time, with Martin Schumacher third again. Then in race 3, it was again Eric Twite in third and Dave Carl Smith second, but an absolutely dominating victory for Simon Cattell, reigning Masters champion, won by almost 15 seconds. And as a result of all that, the championship standings are as follows. Let's go through into the Drivers' Championship standings. And it's showing Dave Carl Smith with a 2-point lead over Eric Twite, that's 69 points to 67. Then we've got Martin Schumacher in third place with 46, equal third place actually. He's equal third with Scott Bennett on 46 points each. Then Lee Morris is in fifth with 37. Rounding out the top 10 is Bart DeVos in sixth with 34. Mark Stanton in 7th with 30, David Jones in 8th with 27, and an equal 9th is Simon Cattell and Lewis Redshaw with 26 each, but of course Cattell takes the 9th place because he scored a race victory. Into the team's standings, you know, it's just constructors, but team standings nonetheless, and it's Tyre Express Motorsport who have the top. Second, let's show you Simon Cattell. He should be out on track. There he is, as a winner of race 3 and current champion. Target Express top of the table with 94 points. There's a good battle going on for second between Halcyon Racing in second with 73, and they hold a very, very slim 1 point lead over Innovision in third with 72. Then we've got Simink Motorsport fourth with 57 points, and Revolution fifth with 51. And then it's a pretty frantic battle for sixth, between fifth and fact, because of Revolution 51. Then Constant with 48 in sixth place from Racing Team Schroten in 7th with 47, and then rounding out the top 10 for teams is Hawkeye with 26, Vortex GP with 20, and RB Racing, the only team of the top 10 not to get into double figures with just 8 points, but I'm pretty sure with the likes of Meluish and Nick Rowland on board, that is going to change pretty soon. So, let's look at what's going on in qualifying. We've got a few cars out there. Simon Cattell is currently rounding on a lap at the moment, so we can jump on board with him. Going onto the roof cam here as you're watching down the Wellington Straight, and they'll head up towards Brooklands underneath the bridge. First lap, we'll keep tabs on where everyone is at the moment. I can see Lee Morris is on a lap at the moment, as is Scott Bennett. OJ Clark is currently on a lap as well. Meluish and Jai Vananen for Tiger Express. Boyd Bryson in the third RB Racing machine, he's out there as well, as is courses with Morris, Mark Fuller, Butker Hoekstra, Miles Dixon, Ian Story, William Trengas, Vinod Moodley, David Stanton, Andres Peshtov, David Stanton as well. Mark Stanton and Jeff Mead are all currently on hot laps at the moment. I know of course Dave Carl-Smith is also out there as well, and he's just about to start a lap as Cattell now heading down towards this extremely high-speed section. In a Super League car or Formula 1 car, the Magnus Beckett and Chapel section is one of the most glorious pieces of sequence of corners in the world, because it's such a high-speed section. And even though it's in a touring car, it can still be as exhilarating. I see Cattell then head down the back straight down towards the end of the lap as he then throws the Innovision BMW into Stowe corner, back in, stepping out slightly, but with a precise flick of opposite lock he's managed to keep it going. I think that's Scott Bennett in front as well, currently third quickest, and yes it is, so we'll get him across the line then. So Scott Bennett I think will set one of the first few times on the board, and he heads across the line and he sets it to OJ Clark with a 2 minutes 11.4. Bennett goes second with a 2 minutes 11.5, and then Cattell goes to top immediately with a 2 minutes 9.373. One of the very few drivers that's managed that throughout so far. Now Lee Morrison is going to come across the line in a few seconds, so let's see if we can catch him. Where's he got to? He has actually gone second, so Morrison's now gone second there on a 2 minutes 9.8, so that's a pretty decent time for him so far. And Nick Rowland hasn't actually headed out onto track yet, he's got less than half the session left to go. Let's see who else is also out there lighting up the timing boards. In fact, let's just read the top 10s we have at the moment in terms of times. Of course, that will change all the time as far as we can see. Let's also ride with Dave Carl-Smith, who is currently out there on a lap. He's about 4/10 down the fastest time. But it's currently Simon Cattell who's quickest on a 2 minutes 9.3, but just over. If I can get my words out, 4/10 of a second ahead of Lee Morris in second. Then OJ Clark for Simink in third, Scott Bennett in fourth. Wesley Morris's teammate has just jumped up into fifth place with a 2 minutes 12.5. Then Jeff Mead in sixth, Andres Pestovs in seventh, then Miles Dixon in eighth. Boyd Bryson ninth, and Mark Fuller rounding out the top 10. The two Stanton brothers are 11th and 13th, split by Rutger Hoekstra. Then Tringas, Vananen, Story, Ian Story that is, Moodley, Simon Meluish only down in 18th with a 2 minutes 47. He's obviously had a bit of a compromised lap somewhere. As you're now seeing Dave Carl-Smith in the wonderfully liveried black Vodafone sponsored BMW. One of the fastest guys out there, and across the line he goes, and the time he delivers is best good enough for third on the grid for race 1. 2 minutes 10.026, so of course he's still got enough time to get a few more laps out. I'm going to keep track as drivers who haven't set a time yet are as follows: Keith Story, Nick Rowland, who still hasn't left the pits, although Keith Story is on a lap right now. Bart DeVos is on a lap and coming through Magnus Beckett and Chapel. He's got Vinod Moodley and Jeff Mead in front of him. We'll quickly jump with him. There is Bart DeVos. Also, Eric Tveit, who is actually out there now on an out lap. Eric Ehababas has just started a hot lap, and I've just seen behind him, Nick Rowland has now finally started to come out and do a lap. Obviously, he's waiting for an opportune time at the end of the session. David Judd is currently on a hot lap as well, as also is James Shepherd. So, 29 car field at the moment, as a few more drivers now heading through onto... Oh! There's a bit of coming together there that personally I didn't spot. Let's just fast forward that then, and down towards... corner here. Now, was there... I did Bart the Boss spinning sympathy there. Well, car came across the track and there was contact. And that's really compromised Bart the Boss's lap. He's going to have to really hot-foot it around if he wants to get himself on another lap. But he's stopped at the side of the track, so essentially he's going to have to leave the pits now, effectively. Exit back to the pits and then leave pretty much now. He wants to get around just about in time. Let's see if we can tag with Nick Rowland, who is, I believe, now on his out lap. I think he hasn't started his lap just yet. He's only going through cops, but we'll see if we can tag onto him. And I don't actually think that Bart the Boss is going to get another lap, I don't think. I think he's left it too late, unless he's now... he was waiting on the track, I think. So even though there's a bit of damage, I think, yes, in fact, he will get round to do one more lap. So that's pretty smart from Bart the Boss. A bit dangerous, though, to keep it, even though he's effectively... He was on the racing line. But 25th, and here's Nick Rowland, who is now heading onto the hangar straight. In fact, let's go on board with him here. A nice camera view here. Out the side here of Nick Rowland's BMW. We can join him for a lap to see how he gets on. Keeping track of the top times, Lee Morris is still the same top three as it was before. I know that Simon Cattell is out there at the moment, and he's on an out lap, as is Lee Morris. Dave Carlson is also out there on a what looks to be an out lap for him, I think, at the moment. OJ Clark is also out there. The top four, top five are out there. Like Scott Bennett is also looks like on an out lap 2. In fact, his step was at 2 minutes 5, gone down to 2 minutes 11. Sorry, 0.5. Now down to 2 minutes 11.2. As we're now watching Nick Rowland as he makes his way through the little complex here. He's going to have to deal with the race spinning Ehababas there as managed to get out of the way. Tiny flick of opposite lock, but he manages to control that with ease. He goes over the curve through Village and onto the Wellington Straight, excuse me. Now I'm going to keep an eye on some of these guys here and what lap times they're setting. And looks like Bennett is probably going for another lap, I think. I see that Simon Cattell has started his lap, as has Lee Morris and also Dave Carl-Smith, so we'll keep track of all three of those top guys, and OJ Clark as well, because he's 1.6 seconds off pole, but he needs to finally get himself anywhere near Dave Carl-Smith. Obviously, he's at about 8/10 to try and get that there. So Rowland then is now heading through what was the old pit straight, Woodcote, and down towards Copse Corner. Decent lap so far, nice clean and tidy run through Copse Corner, and he runs it down towards the Magnus Beckett's and Chapel complex. So Rowland is obviously, as we said earlier on, engaged in the fight for the Super League Championship, and that's intriguing. Using a lot of the inside curve there. I wonder if that's going to be frowned upon by the stewards, but he's going to exit this second sector. He's lost a hell of a lot of time. In fact, he has, about 2 seconds in fact. So Rowland himself is rather off the pace, but he finds himself at 2 minutes 11, so he'll be roughly round about the 6th, 10th bracket, I'd say, because those are the guys at 2 minute 11 time. So, but we'll catch him across the line soon, and I know for a fact that Cattell is on his way on a lap at the moment, so we'll see if he goes any quicker. Also, Dave Carl-Smith and Lee Morris are following suit as well, and they're actually pretty much in that order down the circuit. OJ Clark is just behind as well, Simon Cattell, so we'll track those guys across the line in a second. But here comes Rowland to post his one and only time of the session, and it turns out to be not a brilliant one, only 2 minutes 12.156 to put in 12. Now then, I know for a fact that Cattell and Clark are approaching, or ride with Cattell as he comes down towards Stoke Corner at the end of a lap, and he's not too far off bettering his time. He's only about just under 300ths of a second off his pole time at the moment, and can he go any quicker in the last sector? We'll find out as he goes across the line now, and the answer to that question is yes, he can. Oh, no, he can't, sorry. He's off by about 8/10 of a second. Clark goes across the line, and he is still 4th. Now then, 3rd place, Lee Morris is going to come across the line in a second, followed by Dave Carl-Smith. Now, what can Morris do on his lap as he moves the cut up? He is still 2nd. And here comes Dave Carl-Smith. Can he move up at all from third place? What kind of time has he found on his lap at all? Across the line he goes, and he still stays third. And it was a rather scruffy lap for him, so they didn't really make that much inroads on the time at all. Shepherd has gone to 5th in the meantime in that respect, so Civic Motorsport definitely getting their drivers up there. Scott Bennett is now kicked down to 6th. Keith Story is now coming across the line, and he goes to 8th. He was 7th, he's now down to 8th, as well as some lap times that have just gone through. Taken over by, is that Scott Bennett? Yes, so it was, yes, sorry. And then Eric Smart, who's 9th, who is known to be an excellent starter in a touring car, stays 9th with his lap time. And now Bart DeVos is now going to head through to round out, he goes back into the pits. That one. So qualifying then has now finished. And there is the man who has taken pole position, Simon Cattell, and we'll read you the top 10 once again and look at any key drivers who are outside of it. But Simon Cattell is the man on pole by 0.6 of a second, 2 minutes 9.180 compared to Lee Morris's 2 minutes 8, so 2 minutes 9.8, excuse me. Then it's Dave Carl-Smith in third with the first of the 3 drivers in the 2 minute 10s. Carlson for the 2:10.026, OJ Clark on a 2:10.815. And James Shepherd on a 2:10.848. So two of the Simic Motorsport cars are doing very well, and also all 3 of them into the top 10. We'll get on to Bart DeVos in a second. 6th was Simon Meluish in the RB Racing machine. So RB Racing collectively have done fairly decent. They've gone. He was 6th on a 2 minutes 11.195. He was a little bit more congested in the 2 minutes 11s with Scott Bennett 7th for Racing Team Schroten to 11.2. Then Keith Story 8th with a 2:11.3. Eric Dwight 9th with a 2:11.3, and then Bart DeVos running out the top 10 with a 2:11.6. Drivers that I didn't expect to be outside of the top 10, well, for one of them is actually Nick Rowland. Of course, we know he's pretty deadly in a Super League car, and also we'll get onto a new series that's coming on in a minute throughout the warm-up session. But Nick Rowland down 12th, but then again, I suppose this is pretty much his first time properly doing the Masters Touring cars. I'm unaware if he's actually raced in the Masters Series last year. I'll have to quickly double check on the 2011 Masters Series and see if I can answer that question. Answer to that is yes, he did. He raced with Midnight Motorsport alongside Simon Meluish and Dave Carl-Smith. So he did race in that championship, and he's finished right the way down, it seems, in 33rd. He did the rounds at what looked to be Norris Ring and Norris Ring and I'll find him again now. Norris Ring and Bathurst. So in those cases he didn't finish higher than 10th. He scored an 11th and a 10th in a Norris Ring, and then scored a 10th and a retirement at Bathurst. So rather unfortunate for him. But intriguing nonetheless. I think we have now gone to... No, we've got into the qualifying. Just waiting for the last few cars to head into pit lane. And the cars are pretty much going to be in Parc Ferme now. And let's put the backs to fly here whilst we're waiting for warm-up to transition over. While staring at blank pit boxes. But I think it's transitioning over now. First time, of course, that I think this is the first time the Masters Series has gone to Silverstone. Let me just double check on some previous ones. Let's see. No, we did go there in 2010. Silverstone sprint feature and a sprint race, and both those races were won by the now retired Joe Concilio. Sim Racing. And looking back to see if they raced in 2009, or if there were any British events. Answer to that, yes there were. There was two at Cabell Park and Brands Hatch, but nothing at Silverstone. The warm-up has now begun. It's a quick 5-minute session. Quickly go over it. Just basically, it's a session that allows the drivers to adjust to the basically to put race fuel in, and just to get the cars adjusted to how it feels with race fuel loads, how the tyres are going to react, how the car in terms of the grip differences with the different fuel loads will react. And also, a lot of drivers use it to practice their starts, to get the bite point on the clutch that they need, get the best possible launch off the line. And these BMW 3 Series touring cars are definitely ones which are notorious for getting decent lightning starts off the line, especially in the likes of World Touring cars and British Touring cars as well. It's always a feature. If you watch British Touring cars, the majority of the drivers of the majority of the British drivers, the British touring racing cars are usually obviously front-wheel drive, such as the MG, the Honda, and the Fords and such. But the BMWs always get the best starts because they're rear-wheel drive and they just rocket off the line. They get the best traction. A bit of a sight coming together at the wing in warm-up there between. I just see it at the corner of my monitor between Bart DeVos and OJ Clark. That's now back to live pictures now. Let's cycle then through the drivers, see if we can find. Morris is obviously in his pit garage. Third place is Dave Cusmus is in his pit box. Here's a few drivers practicing their starts. Looks like Nick Rowland, Bart DeVos and OJ Clark are to practice their launches off the line. How this gets on. I've been treating how Nick Ryan gets on. If you remember, Nick was in the commentary box with me last time out in Monza. He has now decided to jump behind the wheel of a BMW touring car and see what he's worth. We'll have to see exactly what happens in that situation. And we're also waiting for one to go through. I'm going to give you a bit more information on a brand new race series that's taking place in the off-season. So once all the likes of the Super Cup, the Super League and the Formula Challenge and Master Series are finished, we will have a series that's going on in the November and December months, and that's going to be the brand new GPVWC Winter GT Series, and that will be taking place on 4 separate races, each of them an hour long, and we'll be using a GT3 mod, as in the FIA GT3 mod, and there's quite a selection of cars in there. There's about 19 different models to choose from. It's a mod that myself and a few drivers, including Dave Carl-Smith and Nick Rowland and the such, Simon Melewich and drivers like Peter Kassar and Borna Spoljaric have also helped test out and get to grips with. It's been pretty fun and exciting mod. There's a lot of cars that you can choose from that look to be competitive straight on. Cars such as the Mercedes SLS AMG, the Ferrari 458 and 430. Also, the Porsche 997, of course, the 997 GT3R, Audi R8's in there as well, Ford GT and Lotus Evora, Aston Martin DBR S9 and Aston Martin V Advantage. There's a Dodge Viper you can race as well, and of course a Corvette. There is a Camaro as well that you can run, and a Ford Mustang. And I think back as well, there is a Jaguar also too. A couple of BMWs, BMW Z4 GT3 and a BMW Alpina B6. Effectively, it's a racing BMW M6 for anyone who's unaware of what that is. So there are a lot, I can't remember exactly all of them, but there's a lot of cars available and a lot of different makes and models that you can choose from. But if you do think you can fancy going to GT Series, then get yourself signed up to GPVWC.com, and of course you can find out some more information about that. Team entries have now started. There's a list in there in the team entry section. Of course, those teams will be decided by the beginning of September. The deadline, I believe, for team submissions is, I think, the 7th of September, I believe. So, if anyone in the league fancies entering a team, there's about 13 teams or so entered already. So, if you do think you can have a go, then of course you can definitely go. Watching here, OJ Clark and Bart DeVos practice their starts. They're both stationary on the track, and we'll see if we can jump to someone on track who's at least going around putting some laps in. Here's a man, Simon Cattell, that is on track here, giving him some camera time here. Front view cam that you're seeing was Magnus Beckett and Chapel. But the intriguing thing is, obviously, is Simon Cattell going to be able to continue the domination that he showed, the outright pace that he showed in Monza? He won by almost 15 seconds. And is this pole going to be what he needs to properly kickstart his championship charge? get it back on track. Now the format, I believe, is pretty much similar to what it is in a few other sim racing touring car leagues and also the BTCC, where it basically runs as follows. Of course, the qualifying session we just had determines the starting order for race number 1. Then the finishing order of race 1 will then determine the grid for race 2. And we're going to go to the race, so you can tell. And I'm going to get I usually have a background song that I put on. Help me go through the grid. But I pick that. Of course, you guys can't hear that, but something that I put in to help me go through the grid. It gets me a bit more pumped up and prepared for the race. So, and waiting for the start of the 1 lap. And here we go. That's 7 laps of the Silverstone circuit. And let's take you through the grid for round 4 of the 2012 GPVWC Masters Series. And on pole position then is going to be Simon Cattell for Innovision, and alongside him will be, in second place, Lee Morris for Revolution Racing. In third is going to be OJ Clark for Halcyon Racing, alongside on row 2. Dave Carter for Halcyon Racing. Fourth is OJ Clark for Simeon Motorsport. His teammates, James Shepherd, will start 5th in the sister Simeon Motorsport car. 6th place, Simon Millowich for RB Racing, and alongside him, then back to row 4. Scott Bennett heads in 7th place ahead. Alongside him is Keith Storey. Back on the grid is Eric White, 4th. Tiger Express Motorsport. Rounding out the top 10 is going to be Bart the Boss, in the 3rd Civic Motorsport machine. 11th is Boyd Bryson for RB Racing. It's not RB Racing. 6th row back alongside him is going to be in his first Masters touring car race since Bathurst last year. Going to be Nick Rowland in 12th. In 13th place will be Mark Wicks for Woods Racing. And in 14th place then is going to be on the grid Wesley Morris for Racing Team Schroeting. 15th is Jeff Mead for the FGWC. 16th, Yanni Barnum for Tiger Express Motorsport. 17th, Jason Muscat, now finally racing with a wheel. In 17th place for Revolution Motorsport. He's taken one of that place in there as well. Intrigued to see how he gets on. 18th place, Ihab Abbas for Vortex GP. It's an all constant racing 10th row. We have constant racing Chris Williamson in 19th. And in 20th place it's going to be Mark Stanton. 21st, Mark Fuller for Woods Racing. And 22nd is Tiger Express, is David Junt. 23rd, David Stanton in the 3rd constant racing machine. 24th is the Revolution Motorsport, is Miles Dixon. 25th is Andres Pestos for Team Edifice. Running through the rest of the field, running out to the back of the grid. It's going to be in 26th, Rutger Hoekstra for Woods Racing. 27th is going to be Racing Team Schroeting's William Tringas. 28th, Ian Storey for FGW Racing. And 29th, and all by himself on the back of the grid, it's Vinod Moody, the South African, for Team Edifice. corner, and apologies for that, which if you couldn't hear me, but hit the mute button on my mic for accidentally. Now on to the penultimate lap. Let's quickly just give you some shots of what's going on. But actually, no, I'll keep an eye on what's going on with the front for you on my screen, because the front 4 or 5 seems to be pretty spread out, and Dwight is kind of on his own. This is the battle. This is the main battle that's going on now at the moment. This is the battle for 6 between Meloish and De Vos, and De Vos is now going to sweep to the inside line, and De Vos is now, it's Belgian, then gets up the inside, and will manage to do the switch back and have a go. There's Woods on the side, but that is Meloish behind the wheel. Bit of body contact as they go through Luffield, but De Vos then repasses again, and Meloish back up the inside. Wonderful racing between these two. And, and that's contact, slight contact, I think, and look at that. And De Vos almost got speared into the wall. And now Meloish, I think, is going to try up the inside again. Once more through Cops. But no, he decides to stick to the rear end and have another go. Now, is he going to be risky enough to try into the complex here? Not quite, although he's right on the back bumper and goes to almost to the inside, over the curb there on the inside. So this is a pretty exciting battle going on here. Let's go to the roof cam here, watching the black, red and yellow BMW of Bart De Vos. Back up at the front, the gap is now just over half a second between Cosworth and Morris. So Morris hasn't closed as much as he probably would have liked, but is definitely getting the hammer down. And Morris is closing in all the time. In fact, he is pretty close on this last lap. I think Carl Smith has made a mistake for the last couple of corners, and we can now see, if we now cut to the TV shot here, just how close Morris is. There he is. That is the battle for the lead. And someone could tell in third place down, trying to catch on to these two, with now one more tour of the Grand Prix circuit here at Silverstone to go. Morris then smells a victory, that's his first victory of the season. Didn't finish on the podium in either of the 3 races at Monza. Complications close, but this is the shot Morris has been looking for. And that's the rear. Look at that, you can see those 2 cars third, and you can see Smith. Didn't quite have the run down into the straight. Through Brooklands they go then for one final time. Luffield now, and what can Morris do then? Morris will be able to tag on to the gap now. The first split there was 0.426 per second, so Morris is going to have to try and do something, or hope he can't make a mistake as they head down towards Cops for the final time. Fly through here, this is the last lap now, this is 1 more run to go. And I'm keeping an eye on what's going on. I tend to look away because it can happen here, and it's a decent run through Magnus to Chap. How serious he's going there. You run the Carl Smith out of the complex down the straight. I don't think he's close enough though to get a turn. In fact, Dave Cosworth is pulling away slightly. And I think Cosworth will be able to hold on unless he makes a mistake through Stowe here. Has he? And Morris is running quicker than he wanted, it seems. He's running a bit more downforce. But I think it looks as though it's going to be a nail-biting finish. But I think Cosworth will just about hold on to it. And Morris is going to close. But I think it's going to be too late. And he is too late. So Cosworth then rounds the final corner. Takes his 4th podium in a row then in the Masters Series. And wins round 4 just ahead of Morris by some 0.3 of a second exactly. Cattell in 3rd. Back to 4th place is James Shepherd. At 5th is some Eric tonight. And Meloish loses 6th then. As he had to lose that battle with Voss 6th, Meloish 7th. And look at that, he just held off Scott Bennett at the line. 9th place just about goes to Keith Story ahead of Boyd Price. And it's Odin Clark. Nick Rowan is the 4th goes to Yeva Bass. Then races. I wonder possibly maybe we can get the first and second guys from. Well, Simon Cattell isn't on TeamSpeak, unfortunately, so we can't talk to him, I'm afraid. But we do, I can see we do, of course, have the Morrison, Dave Cosworth, and James Shepherd on TeamSpeak, so we can maybe have a word with them in a moment if they decide to jump into the interview room. But let's quickly then pop it onto the flyer so we can go through the results. So let's take you through then what's happened. Of course, this will be, of course, the grid for race 2. Dave Cosworth takes the victory then, as we said, 4th podium in a row after his victory. And 2 second places. I'm pretty sure we got a second, a third, and a third. First, second, and third, should I say, race that in all 3 races. And it's another win for him. Second win of the season. Ahead of Lee Morris. Definitely a decent result for him. He definitely needed that. Just having any chance of running well. Simon Cattell, reigning champion, grabs a podium. Dave Shepherd finished 4th for Simic Motorsport ahead of Eric Tveit. Always handy with a touring car is Mr. Tveit, the Norwegian. 5th place for Tiger Express Motorsports, ahead of Bart de Vos in 6th for Simic Motorsports. 7th place is Simon Meliwish for RB. In fact, there was less than a second separating de Vos, Meliwish and Bennett at the finish. 6th, 7th and 8th respectively. 9th is Ski Story for FGW, and then rounding out the top 10 was Boyd Bryson. Some of the key names in there as well. Odin Clark was only 11th for Simic Motorsport, despite starting roughly in the top, I think it was in the top 5 even, I think he was, or around that area anyway. Nick Rowland, very surprised to see him down there. Didn't have a very welcome back to a touring car race in the Masters. Wasn't fantastic, but nonetheless gave it his all and finished. Despite that, finished 13th. David Junt was down in 16th for Tiger Express. So Jason Muscat was down in 18th. Also, who else was down there and didn't particularly do very well? That's pretty much it to come the main names, I suppose. The 3 retirements we had from that race, soonest to earliest, were Mark Sampson back on lap 4, Miles Dixon and Jeff Mead back on lap number 2. So we had 26 cars finished out of the 29 that started. And I do believe we have Lee Morris waiting in the interview room. He did say he's always welcome for an interview. Let's drag him in here then. So just dragged in the second place Lee Morris from that third race. Lee, I have to say overall that was a much better race than you experienced in Silverstone, and I suppose all 3 of the races in Monza combined, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was really good fun. Just couldn't get Dave at the end. Slightly down on top speed compared to him and James I was racing. But I think I know why, so hopefully we've solved that for race 2. But yeah, really happy with that.
It seemed to be off the start, because you managed to get the front row off alongside Simon Cattell off at the start. Were you surprised just to how good Dave Cosworth's start was, or were you kind of expecting that, depending on the rear-wheel drive nature of the BMWs? Were you expecting that decent enough start from Dave Cosworth?
Yeah, I'd been practicing starts in practice, and he'd been alongside me, so I knew what he could do. But I can just about match his starts now. I'm still not as good, but I can just about match it compared to last race when I lost 9 places off the grid. You know, today I only lost 2, I believe it were, into turn 1. And I didn't really get the best of starts myself, but if I can get the start that I was getting in practice, then we should be able to hold position into turn 1 as such. Your microphone's crackling a lot as well, Scott.
Apologies for that. It might have probably some interference on my mobile phone. But
no, it's the actual microphone itself. You can't even hear you sometimes.
Is that better at all? Just put it a bit closer. Is that okay? Is that better, or is it still crackling?
You're a bit quiet, but yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
That's better.
Yeah, the microphone is literally pressed up against my mouth now, so hopefully it shouldn't be too quiet, but I can turn it up if need be. But yeah, obviously going to race 2, as you said, you're looking for a decent start and obviously to come off the line. Are you confident that, obviously, if you're able to make the start which you've been able to make in the warm-up sessions, are you confident you can get yourself a win in race 2?
I think I got the pace for it. Cattell's... Yeah, I think Cattell, if he'd have got away in the lead off his start, I think he'd have won the race, because his pace was a couple of tenths faster than ours. I mean, we got down to low 209s in the race there. I think I did 209.3, Dave did 209.3, Cattell 209.2, so all really close. But if Cattell gets another bad start, and I can sort of stay in front, plus he's got the penalty I've just seen now, he's got the weight penalty obviously, along with myself, but his is more than ours, and maybe I can get into the lead. But I thought I had a chance there really, if I could have just had a bit more top speed, but I think I've solved that. Because I kept losing out down the straights and I could never get close enough, so I didn't want to do anything stupid in braking zones, you know what I mean, and ruin both our race.
No, of course. So just seeing you got the an extra 30 kilos in your car now. Dave Coffis has got 40. Simon Cattell appears to have been given 20, and James Shepherd 10, and 5 kilograms to Eric Dwight. So the top 5 get the weight penalties for the race 2. So it should be pretty intriguing, and I guess we'll leave it at that. So well done for second place there, Lee, and hopefully we can have a chat with you again after race 2, and in the meantime, best of luck.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the broadcast.
There was Lee Morris there, always welcome to talk to us, and obviously you've heard his voice before. He's does some broadcasts for us now since he has decided to end his duties with Drager Racing in the Super League. He has some broadcasts now in the commentary team for Super League, and also he's a regular commentator and cameraman for Formula Challenge. So let's see if we can quickly just get you some find you a car out on track that we can follow. Let's follow you have a Bass here as we can bring you back along the pitches. And you're seeing here Bass in a second. And obviously, as we said, some main points to take away there. Dave Costa with a lightning start off the line to cut between both Simon Cattell and Lee Morris. To take the lead. Basically, it was pretty much a lights to flag victory for Carl Smith after the start. The only time he was challenged was right at the last couple of laps when Morris managed to make his way back up through the field after he missed himself. Not one of the best starts, but he definitely made his way back up, and he did think he could have won that as he have a Bass loses the back end of his BMW there in a rather dignified fashion. So William Tringat here, one of the racing team Schroeter BMWs here. And we'll go on board with William Tringas here. Another car heading out of the pits. Pretty tad to see who that is. That's James Shepherd. So, as we said, just remind of those weight penalties that we just mentioned. So, the weight penalty in order, so that means that the winner is going to get 40 kilograms. That is, of course, Dave Carl Smith. Lee Morris has been given a 30 kilogram weight penalty. Simon Cattell 20. James Shepherd has been given 10, and Eric Dwight has a 5 kilogram weight penalty. Of course, it just helps to even things up. And of course, the likes of Cattell and Shepherd will definitely be hoping that with the lighter loads on the car, they'll definitely be hoping that they can make advantage of that. So we're going to be advancing as soon as the timer hits 0 on the warm-up. And we can take you to the grid for race number 2 as we're going on board William Tringas here, just for a lap of the Silverstone circuit. Plus what I guess you'd call is the support pits. They're used for such as GP2 and GP3 on a race weekend, and they do still use the start finish line here for like national events, I suppose, and I believe the BTCC still uses the old pit straight as well. Which I guess they'd have to, because I think that's turning off just there on the national circuit is when they have to do it. Tringas heading on to the back straight now. Had 1 or 2 times coming in. Again, this is mainly just a session where drivers can just take a quick break before races, between races, maybe make 1 or 2 very slight legal setup changes. About 20 seconds before we go to the race, and then once again we'll take you through the grid, and hopefully it will be another 7 laps of brilliant racing. So timer has now gone to 0 now, so session is
attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
So let's I will then prep my music to that I can listen to in the background whilst we were going on with this here race 2, and the grid that's going to go. I'll go the grid for it rather. Get my words together for a second. So there Last few cars popping onto the grid, last few seconds, and then we'll take you through then. They will line up. And here we go then. So, as they pass with and release the cars away, let's run you through the grid for round number 5 of the 2012 GPWC Masters here at Silverstone. And so, of course, as a direct result, the grid is as a direct result of race 1. So Dave Cosworth, of course, is on pole position. In second place is going to be Lee Morris for Revolution Motorsport. Third place, Simon Cattell for Innovision. And then fourth place is James Shepherd in the Simic Motorsport car. Fifth place is going to be Eric Tveit for Tiger Express Motorsport. In sixth, it's going to be Bart de Vos. Seventh, it's going to be Simon Milliwish for RB Racing. Eighth is Scott Bennett for Racing Team Schroesen. Ninth is going to be Keith Story for FGW. And then running out the top 10 is going to be Boyd Bryson for Simic Motorsport RB Racing. 11th on the grid is going to be OJ Clark for Simic Motorsports. In 12th is going to be Yardi Barnum for Tiger Express. 13th will be Nick Rowland for RB Racing, the second of those cars. And then heading back further down through the field. In position number 14 on running at row 7, we have a Bass. Starting on row 8, 15th place for Wesley Morris, and headed alongside him will be David Junt in another one of the Tiger Express cars. 17th place, and heading up row number 9 is going to be Mark Wicks ahead of Jason Muscat, Revolution Motorsport. 19th, and heading up row 10 is going to be Andrew Peshtovs. Alongside him is Mark Fuller. And 21st, it's going to be William Tringas at the Racing Team Schroesen. Alongside him to make up row 11 is going to be David Stanton of Constant Racing. And 23rd place on the grid is going to be Rutger Hoekstra for Woods Racing. 24th on the grid is Chris Williamson. I believe we've lost Jason Muscat as well, which is unfortunate, so he will not be starting. 24th is going to be Ian Storey for FGW. 25th on the grid will be none other. Is 25th on the grid. If I can scroll down so I can see it, it's going to be Vinod Moodley, Team Edifice. And then the rest of the grid then, rounding out the back of the grid, is going to be in 26th place Mark Stanton for Constant Racing. And the final row of the grid then, with no Jason Muscat starting, will be 27th. It's going to be Miles Dixon in the third Revolution car. And rounding out the back of the grid alongside Dixon is Jeff Mead in the third FGW machine. So Dave Carl-Smith then and Lee Morris then pop themselves onto the front grid for another 7 laps of racing here at Silverstone. And the question is, can Carl get himself another lightning start then? As the last few cars pop onto the back of the grid, it's round number 5 of the 2012 Suit First GPWC Masters Series. Carl-Smith on the right in red, in the black and red BMW, alongside Lee Morris in the white BMW, getting ready for the lights then, with another 9,000 horsepower launch off the grid, and lights are on, lights are out, and away we go. Decent start looks to be from Eric Tveit. Look at that through the middle. What a start from Eric Tveit off the back of the 5th place. He's up to 2nd already. And also look at Simon Milliwish, also from looks like 4th place. He's up already. Looks about 6th or 7th. Wonderful start from these guys. Seems to be a pretty clean start from the first few corners, and Tveit already is up there challenging for the lead. So we said he was handy with a touring car, and we're kidding, because Tveit with a wonderful getaway for 5th off the grid. And at the moment, the first few corners, it looks to be it's Carl-Smith then from Tveit, then Shepherd, Morris is up to 4th, or down to 4th and 2nd. Cattell and Milliwish are battling over 5th and 6th. Quickly switch to them, they're side by side, and also we've got Bart de Vos trying to get. No, that's Morris, Milliwish, and Cattell all together, and Cattell are looking to the outside down towards Brooklands. And he's now going to try to switch back. He's now on the outside down towards Luffield, and Milliwish holds the racing line. Keeps tight to the inside of Luffield, and tight on the exit as well. That's now Cattell with a better exit slightly, and he's now right onto the tail of the RB Racing machine. Looking back at Nick Rowland with a great start as well. He's up to 8th already, as they're just at the front. I've just seen that James Shepherd's just been is now through. And Tveit's gone very wide then, he's lost his 2nd place now. And soon he's going to be under attack, it looks like, possibly from what is now becoming a quartet behind them, because it's now Cattell, it's Morris, Mellowish, Cattell and De Vos in there. Then Roland heads the next group, which comprises of himself and then Varland, Bennett, Clark, Bryson and Story all battling away. But now looking back now, Eric DeWhite's car trying to get onto the rear view battle, but it's too late because here comes Lee Morrison up the outside down towards Stowe Corner, and with a wonderful classy overtaking move around the outside there, but it's not over yet because DeWhite's not done with him. And they do bank panel slightly, and Castle already at the front. You can see trying to run away with the lead again like he did. And there goes Mellowish darting out the background, trying to get past Mellowish. Cattell rather. And Dwight misses his braking point, and through goes Morris. And look at that! Mellowish and Cattell either side of Dwight through Stowe Corner. That's a brave move from both of them. But Carsmith then leads them from Shepherd, Morris, Mellowish, Cattell. Dwight's down to 6th after his great start. The boss is now past Roland and already onto the back of the Norwegian there. Then Varland and Clark rounding out the top 10 minutes down to 11th now, and Bryson and Story then just behind as well. As now we've got again Cattell and Mellowish and Dwight Vance to look up the inside also of Cattell, but back to let's say he's front bumper again. He's there and he's tagged Cattell, and Varland and Roland and Ben in back as well. It's an absolute disaster. And well, Roland, if he got going again, I'm not quite sure what he has. We see a replay of exactly of what happened there. Let's have a look at the situation from. We can see where he's got to. Cattell is 12. And let's just see what happened here. Now, if we can quickly fast forward it. Now, they all kind of stacked up behind Mellowish. And Dwight just launched down inside. Look at that. He didn't brake. And got tagged. And Bartlemoss hit him in the back. He then spun round. That's the one that's dropped down majorly. And everyone else avoided him by some miracle. And Rowan hit the front as well. The Cattells are down to 7th. Rowan's up to 6th as a result of that. But I'm pretty sure that Dwight's going to get himself a penalty as a result, and that's Mellowish is struggling. There's been more cars up, I think. Now what's gone on here? Because whilst you look at that replay, and then Cattell's damaged, he's gone across, almost hits. What looks to be, I didn't quite catch it. That was maybe Peshtov's. Let's see what else is happening here. Oh, we got tagged by Ian Story. Story spun round, and as a result, who else got caught up? And that was Scott Bennett, I think, as well. Got tagged up, tagged up as well. It's all going on at the front. Let's quickly just check back in at the front here. So Cosper still leads. Morris is still 2nd now from Shepherd. Mellowish is up now to 4th as a result of all the shenanigans. And let's see what else is going on. Dwight is now 5th. Roland's now in a massive scrap with OJ Clark for 6th, with Boyd Bryson behind him as well. So a wonderful battle going on between these three. So Roland's having a better time of it despite contact hitting Cattell then. So these four then battling in the 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. And Bryson then is all with a bit of a twitch, but was he tagged slightly by Bryce? I think he may have been. Cosper sets the fastest lap of the race. Look at that, but Morris then bulks it. He's got the first into the 2-minute 10s. It's a 2:10.8 as they go across the line. And what else is going on behind? Well, Mark Wicks is on his own in 10th, and Stanton goes a bit wide on the exit on 11. And where are those guys then? We need to have a look and see exactly what's going on with them. Well, looking back, you can see that Scott Bennett is back down in. Where has he got to? Because he's way down the order. He's backing down in 20th place, and his Cattell is in the pits. Ian Story was out of the race with suspension damage. Cattell's in the pits and has only just got it back round. That's a disastrous time for him, and also all this lots of battling going on at the back of the field as well. And that's car stationary as well. Now who's that? I think it's Mark Fuller. I think as these three continue battling on at the front. Or right, let's just calm down here for a second and try and get our bearings here. So, quickly looking, Cosper still leads ahead of Morris. It's about a 2-second gap. Shepherd is further second back, and he's a further second ahead of Mellowish. Dwight is the one who's only in 3rd place. We're now looking at the battle for 6th place between Roland, ahead of Clark, and then Bryson and Story. So these four then battling away. Just behind in the background, Mark Wicks then is in 10th place, and that rounds out the top 10 so far. So these four then, battling over these 3 spots. So look back now, if we can, from Nick Rowland's car. That's the wrong camera. Apologies for that. We can get it back onto the rear view camera, the rear wing camera. There we go, that's better. We can look back at these 3, and I'll keep an eye on the guys in front to see exactly what's happening. So coming up to end lap 3, and Morris seems to be having a slightly harder time to keep up with Carl Smith this time. He's in the same scenario as he was before in race 1, as here comes Clark onto the back of Rowland. They head through Stowe. Any oversteer moments between these four? Doesn't seem to appear to be any. And that was seeing the back from Keith Story going a bit wide over the grass on the exit of Stowe. And what's changed here? And Twites into the pits. Now Eric Dwight has gone into the pits here. His car goes to 2 minutes 9. What a scorching lap that was. That's qualifying lap pace. And oh, that's interesting. Dwight should set the fastest lap of the race, but he's going through the pit lane. He's done it. So whether that's going to count, I don't know. Well, maybe the race director will pick up on that and have a look at it later. But still, this battle going on here between these four is a pretty intriguing battle. As now I think Clark goes up the inside. Is he going to have enough room? No. Why has he got? He backed out of it. As now Keith Story going up the inside. I think is that of Boyd Bryson, just about. And it's pretty intriguing because I think maybe did Dwight had a. I think Dwight had a drive-through penalty for that incident, and as a result, that's now put these four behind him now. And the gap ahead now, as Carl Smith now has 2.5 second advantage over Morris at the front, and Shepherd then is only about 1.1 ahead with Meadowish back in 4th place. He managed to avoid all the carnage that was going on. And Dwight then is now under pressure from these four, so it's now a quintress, if you like, if there's anything any such word, but it's now a it's quintuple, isn't it? Quintuple's the phrase, I'm pretty sure. But this quintuple of cars then between Dwight, Rowland, Clark, Boyson and Keith Story. And Rowland is feeling confident, he's right onto the back of him. He can smell 6th place and he definitely wants it. Look at that, Dwight keen on the brakes through Beckett's now, through Chapels to hang us straight. And this is now the chance that Rowland needs. He's now into the slipstream and he's got all the hanger straights to try and make a move. Is he going to dummy? See which way he's going to go. He's going to move to the outside. White defends the inside line, but is Rowland going to be brave and try and get around the outside? Slight bit of oversteer. But again, he's now got a nice exit through there. And behind, you can see the battle going on there for 7th place between Clark, who now has Boyson on his outside. But he wasn't far enough alongside, so he had to settle for the 8th place that he has at the moment, whilst also being kept on his toes by Keith Story. And the gap at the front between Cosmith and Morris is once again extending. It's now 2.8 seconds. So these three now start to gap themselves from Simon Meadowish as Dwight and Rowland now continue to battle. As you see them on screen, and Dwight's really having to fight for this place as we now look back here, and there's the menacing figure of Nick Rowland. Then always a quick competitor, hungry for 5th place, and again look at that. He's committed. He now gets to the inside line, forces Dwight to open up the inside line, and there goes Rowland then, and looks like for the moment he's got it, but he slides. He caught a slide midway through Brooklands, bends off Dwight through Luffield, but and Dwight with a slight twitch through the exit. But now it's Dwight's turn to do the chasing, because now he's in the slipstream down towards Klopp's Corner. On lap 5 of 7 of this 5th round, as Dwight just fills the right-hand side rear wing mirror full of green. This is green and black BMW hounds the red and white machine of Nick Rowland. And now look at OJ Clark as well. OJ Clark's trying to get himself into the action here. He's in for 6th place. Pulled away now from Dual 4, just behind for 8th place as Bryson goes off onto the tarmac, and this now puts Story alongside him and put it on the inside towards Stowe Corner. Here comes Dwight as we're watching here for 5th place. Now, what kind of right lines are you going to take? Will he try the switch back? It looks like the answer to that is almost yes. That's Clark going very wide on through Stowe Corner. And now just ahead, now we've got this battle going on here between the two cars as Rowland and Dwight now go side by side. And Dwight, actually Dwight's not even in the battle here. I think he's a lap down. I think he's had some kind of battle, so that actually these guys aren't actually battling for position. Dwight is not actually, I do apologise, he's down in 20 seconds, so I thought he was actually, I do apologise, I thought he was still in position there, but Rowland then finally gets through, so actually Dwight's he's actually hindering Roland here, and I'm pretty sure Roland will be questioning what Dwight's doing. Despite the fact that Dwight has one of the quickest cars out there, and just behind, we've now got Clark and Story battling away. This is for... No, it's now got back onto my screen again, so this is position. Apologies, slight technical glitch there on my screen. It was showing with 20 seconds, and it wasn't the case. Now then, how much pressure is Roland going to experience now down towards Brooklands on the penultimate lap? And once again, Dwight will look to the inside. He's going to leave it last of the late breakers. Is there going to be contact? There's a slight body rub, panel door rub there. And there goes Clark up the inside. There was contact, and Dwight, I think, has been spun round. Well, he hasn't been spun round. He's been put wide. That puts Key Story alongside him. And Story then benefits from that, and he moves into 7th. Now, what can Boyd Bryson do? He can possibly smell 8th place here. I'm pretty sure Dwight won't like that, but in some cases, I guess that's payback for the move he put on Cattell. Right at the beginning of the race. Now, up at the front, the gap is still just under 3 seconds now between Carsmith and Morris. But Shepherd has really closed in. He's off the race. Look at this. He's on the back of it. We can switch to it now. This is the battle for 2nd place here. And Shepherd's now gone to the outside, it looks like. And he's going to get him round the outside, I think. Is he going to hold the line? No, he's gone onto the marbles on the outside, and that now allows Morris to hold on for the moment for 2nd place. As now you can see Dave Carsmith. Dave Carsmith. Apologies for that. Dave Carsmith holds on to the lead, which is now 3.7 seconds. Extremely accidental and non-intentional slip of the tongue there. I do apologise, Dave, for that one. And Dave responds to that by setting the fastest lap of the race, 2 minutes 9.379, so he's got even quicker. And now this is the last lap, and I think if Morris wants to hold on to the 2nd place and make it 2 in a row, he'll have to obviously fend off the advance of James Shepherd. So they're reigniting their battle they had in race 3 at Monza, only this time for something a bit more prestigious. Monza, 3rd race in Monza, it was for pride. 2nd race here at Silverstone, it's for a slightly higher step on the podium and a few more points. I'm going to quickly look back and see what's going on. And there's a huge scrap going on just behind, and that's 5th place. Let's quickly switch to this, and here it is. Then look at that. Look at this. That's running goes up the inside now through Aintree. He's going to let the line stick. He goes almost over the curve, but he has the inside line, and Dwight's all the way back down to what looks like now 9th place. And now look at Roland now up the inside of Clark. And it's going to be cringeworthy. I think is there going to be any contact? Well, they almost to get through safely at the moment. Slight panel rub between, slight nudge from Roland, and again he's almost bump drafted in there, if you like, in NASCAR, as he comes out of Luffield and onto the old pit straight then. And Clark is massively under pressure. He's going to really fend this off. Keeping an eye on Carsmith, who's now heading through the complex here, and also keeping an eye on Morris and Shepherd, who are now coming out of onto the hangar straight, as is Dave Carsmith. I'll have to flip through in a second. But this battle here going on for 5th place between Clark and Roland. Clark has the inside line, and he just nudges Clark wide. Clark now goes over the runoff area, and that now lets them all through. And now Story's going to fancy going for 5th place. He's going to have a go. I'll have to cut away for a second, because we've now got Carsmith then running the final corner, and again from pole position pretty much unchallenged, and it's going to be a 5th podium in a row and a 3rd win of the season. I'm pretty sure this will put him top of the championship now going to race 6, and Dave Carsmith takes victory then in race number 5 and the 2nd race of the evening, as Morris just holds on. This is battle for 5th place we're watching then. What's going on with this one? What's happening? And Roland's still back in 5th place, and Dwight goes over the gravel. And he may even hit. He's going to give me contact with anyone. I'm not quite sure. Well, Clark and Bryson have got through. And Roland, who had a much better race than he did in race 1, claims 5th on the line from Story. And or was that Bryson? I think Bryson just took Clark on the line, 7th place. Let's see if I quickly just rewind that. I will quickly rewind that and see what happened. Well, Clark tried it down the inside, and Bryson. Now, did he let the move through? I think he moved over to let him through. I think that Clark didn't feel that was a legal move, and just to save himself incurring the wrath of the stewards, let Bryson back through to 7th. So it's a pretty intriguing scenario there. Looking through some of the other cars that are coming through. But almost everyone is through. Just a few more cars to come across the line, and David Stanton, I think, And Stanley still running. I thought I'd probably run out of fuel, but he's going pretty slowly. Simon Cattell has made it through, and he finishes 24th place. Could have been so much more, but the reigning champion again experiencing difficulties. And you'll have to start from the back of the field for race 3, so it's pretty much the exact opposite from what we saw in race number 3 at Monza, where he started from the front of the grid. Race 3 this time, it's going to be the back of the grid this time. So, let's put the flyer on for you, so you can we can take you through the results of race number 2, whilst on my screen. And quickly, it's Dave Carl-Smith then, who wins the race once again, this time rather comfortably, 4.3 seconds ahead of Lee Morris in second place. Just held on to James Shepherd in third. Then it's Simon Mellowish who gets fourth, and Nick Rowland in fifth. So good points there for RB Racing. That's definitely put them up there into the higher rungs of the point standings in the teams at the moment. So Mellowish fourth and Rowland fifth. Keith Story finished in sixth place for FGW, ahead of Boyd Bryson in seventh. He's very happy with that seventh place. Eighth place is OJ Clark, ahead of Mark Wicks in ninth. Good to see Mark Wicks up there in the top 10. Good run from him for Wood Racing. And then 10th was Eric Tveit. Other key drivers that did fare very well or were outside where they could have been. David Junt, another difficult race, he's back down in 16th. Bart DeVos was down 21st after the contact that happened. Scott Bennett down 22nd, and Simon Cattell down 24th place. Some of the key players there really having the best of times out there. But had 3 retirements as well, from soonest to earliest. Vinod Moodley was out with a DNF on the final lap. Also Wesley Morris out the lap before. And then Ian Story out on the first lap with damage there with racing suspension. I think due to the contact with, looks like Simon Cattell. So whilst we go into warm-up for race number 3, and this means that the top 10, I believe, are going to be reversed, and as a result, I think that's going to put Mark Wicks on the front row. But until then, hopefully we can get 1 or 2 drivers into the broadcast booth here in a second. I know that we'll definitely get the majority of them into the interview room and the broadcast booth at the end of the 3 races. And whilst we're waiting here in this second race, we'll quickly just go through some of the other races that are coming up here on GPVWC. Let's have a look on the wiki that I've got up here. You can visit the wiki. You can go to gpvwc.com/wiki. You can learn all about the league and all its history and past results. But let's have a look at what's coming up on the schedule. So after the Silverstone Masters, next week it's going to be back to normal service with the big boys. It'll be the Super Cup and Super League, and they're going to be heading off to Rhineland, and it's going to be to Germany, the German Grand Prix at the Nürburgring, where it'll be Super Cup on September the 5th and Super League on September the 6th. Then a week after that, it's going to be back to the kind of the lower series, as we go back to the Formula Challenge on the 12th of September, the Irish Grand Prix at Mondello Park, and then the next time you can see the Masters Series, it'll be rounds 7, 8, and 9, as we head over to South America to get down to a samba in Brazil, and the Curitiba race, wonderful little circuit used as a World Touring Car circuit, and also Brazilian stock cars as well. So definitely be looking forward to that. So you can catch all of those. So just a reminder: 5th of September, Super Cup German Grand Prix at the Nürburgring. 6th of September, the Super League German Grand Prix, also at the Nürburgring. And then the week after that, Wednesday the 12th of September, will be the Formula Challenge Irish Grand Prix at Mondello Park, Masters Series. 13th of September at Curitiba in Brazil. And that's the next time you'll see these Masters Series cars on track. So we're waiting then for now into what, number 3. So, moving to race number 3. And again, what can we take from that race? Well, there was the collision there between Eric Tveit, which compromised Simon Cattell's race, which he's actually said he should disqualify from the series. But But again, Eric Dwight is the big man. He is saying he deserves a penalty, and fair enough. Very manly people too do that. Or it's not actually the top 10. It's a random grid lottery. So they pick a random number. Decide how the grid formed. I think it's 11 to 15. So the number that's been picked is number 15, in fact. So that means that whoever was 15th in that race get pole position. Of course, it's going to be a reverse grid. So as we said, completely reverse grid for. It's going to be Ehab Abbas on pole. Thank you very much, Adam Rouse. And it's in positions 14 to 18 is random. So of course they make a random draw, positions 14 to 18, and that then determines how they line up for race number 3. So that means that Ehab Abbas will then start on pole position then for Vortex GP. The weight penalties that have been added. So it's another 40 kilograms have been added to Dave Carl-Smith, so he's now carrying an 80 kilogram weight penalty. So we'll see how he handles that. Pretty much the same as carrying 80 bags of sugar. And Wilger Hoekstra has applied a 255 kilogram penalty mass applied to the whole server, which is intriguing. Now, it looks like they're actually they're resetting the weight penalty, so it looks like Carl-Smith will have the 40 kilograms again. Lee Morris will have the 30. Cattell has had his 20 kilogram weight penalty removed, and that will now go to James Shepherd. Whilst talking about that, I'm going through the rest of the weight penalties. Again, looking back from that, Eric Dwight, just go back to what we were saying, Eric Dwight, of course, started off the collision which compromised the races of Simon Cattell and then Bart DeVos as a result of the initial collision. And then it seems that Scott Bennett had a collision further round up at Luffield, which then put him out of the running as well for any decent amount of points. And it was easy victory then for Dave Carl-Smith. He seems to have just run away with that once again. Also, it was a great battle between Roland and Bryson, Clark, and Dwight after he served his drive-through penalty. And Keith Story as well. Great 5-way scrap that turned out to be at the end of the race. Simon Mellerish did very well to get himself 4th, and eventually Nick Rowland finishing 5th. Those two definitely putting in decent performances, and we're almost ready to go to the 3rd race session. So let's put it back onto the live coverage, which you can see there.
Attention,
We're going to race
non-essential
3.
personnel leave the grid now.
Push it to our horses then, Ehab Abbas, and we'll go through the grid then. We'll run it through in just a second. It's getting ready for the 3rd and final race tonight. Waiting for them to get themselves sorted onto the grid. So then, as the green light comes on, which is now, let's talk you through then the 3rd and final grid, round 6 then of the 2012 GPWC Masters Series. As a result of the lottery draw, your pole sitter is this man, Ehab Abbas for Vortex GP. Alongside him will be William Tringas for Racing Team Schroesen. In 3rd is Andres Pestos for Team Edifice. In 4th is Mark Stanton rounding out row 2 in the Constant Racing. Row 3 is going to be Eric Dwight. 4 has been given a time penalty as well, so he starts 5th for Tiger Express Motorsports. In 6th, Mark Wicks for Woods Racing. In 7th, starting at row 4 is going to be OJ Clark, and alongside him will be Keith Story, Boyd Bryson, for RB Racing. From position 9 is going to be Keith Story for Revolution Motorsport, and rounding out the top 10 on this occasion, it's supposed to be Nick Rowland, but he hasn't left the pits. It looks like he may even, showing on my screen, yes, left the pits. If that's right, he hasn't left the pits. No, he hasn't. So that's quite interesting. I wonder why that's happened, but we'll have to find out in a moment. 11th place, Simon Millerish for RB Racing, and alongside him on row 6 is going to be the FG. It's going to be James Shepherd. 13th is Lee Morris for Revolution Motorsports, and then rounding out our reverse grid from 14th onwards. On 14th place, the winner of the first and second races, Dave Carl Smith, for Halcyon Racing. Excuse me for that. Into 15th then is David Jump for Tyre Express. In 16th and on row 8 alongside John is Bubka Hoekstra. On row 9 it's going to be Chris Williamson for Constant Racing, and joining him alongside there will be Mark Fuller in another of the Woods Racing machines. In 19th it's going to be Jani Varnanen for Tyre Express. In 20th place is Simic Motorsport. It's going to be Bart de Vos. Just 21 with Scott Bennett for Racing Team Schroeder, and joining on row 11 is Jeff Mead for FGW. 23rd is Simon Cattell, see what he can do with no wet penalties on him from 23rd on the grid. In 24th is David Stanton, and 25th is going to be Vinod Moodley. And then rounding out the grid then for the last 3 spots, in 26th place is going to be Wesley Morris then for Racing Team Schroeton. 27th is going to be Ian Storey, and rounding out the back of the field in 28th place on the grid is Jason Muscat for Argo Express. No, for Revolution Motorsports. So then, Ian Bass and William Stringas stack the pack. Get ready for this, the third and final race of the race weekend here. Round 6 of the 2012 GPVWC Masters Series. Sponsored by Shoot First. It's Ian Bass on pole with William Stringas alongside him on the front. And we're ready for, once again, another 9,000 horsepower symphony as the cars will then shoot down towards Abbey for the first of the final 7-lap race here this evening. Getting ready for the start then. What's left to say is, here come the lights, and before you know, they're going to go out. And here the last race of Silverstone, it's away we go. Decent start then from Abbasi, takes the lead, and there goes Dwight again, look. Off the start again, he goes up to the inside, and will he lead to turn 1? He does take the lead, does he? Yes, he does, although Mark Stanton's going to go with him, and Stanton's not going to give up the lead too easy, I don't think. And no, he hasn't, but Dwight at the moment is holding on. And Dave Cosmin's already up to 7th place off the grid. That's a fantastic start from him. Up to 6th now. He's got past Pestovs, and a few cars slipping down to the field at the moment. And there goes Dwight up the inside of Stanton on the switchback. And Dwight then, despite the penalty in the first race, leads then through onto Wellington straight as he goes wide. And that now lets Mark Stanton back through. And they're going to head down towards, and 3rd place there. We've got Mark Wicks and Ian Bass battling over 3rd place. And switch through, and 3rd place there. So, and look at, that's Dave Carl Smith. Look at Dave Carl Smith, absolutely lightning getaways. He's got 40 kilograms of ballast. That doesn't slow him down one bit. He's up to 3rd place already. What a start for this man. Absolutely fantastic. We know he's rapid in a Super League car, but my God, he's absolutely a demon starter in a Masters Touring car. Look at that. And already, he's absolutely flying onto the back of these two here. As the Bass now is down to 4th and been challenged now by Wicks and Bryson and Meluish. But let's look at Carl Smith just ahead. And yes, he's already caught up to the back of this pair. He's going to be in the tow for Stanton, and will he grab a draft off Abbas as well? Well, here they come then. He goes to the inside of Stanton, which will then be 2nd. And this is simply incredible. And look at that, last of the late breakers, and up the inside he goes. So 2nd place goes wide. That's going to let Stanton back through, or alongside him at least. Now Abbas is holding station, looking behind as well. Morris is up to 7th already. And is he battling away with OJ Clark and Mark Wicks ahead of him as well? But this is now Carl Smith then. Can he even get the lead before he crosses the line? Does he have enough pace? Let's have a look. And has he managed to do it? He's gone wide, and when he go across the line in the lead? Yes, he will, just in front. That's incredible. So from 14th on the grid, Dave Carl Smith is in the lead in one single lap. That is a simply stonking start from Dave Carl Smith. And look at that, already on course to take at the moment his 3rd victory out of 3 races here at Silverstone. What a fantastic effort that is. Holding on for the moment. Tvite is looking racy though. But these two finished on the podium in all 3 races in Monza, and they're battling away again. We're looking behind to see what's going on. Clark and Simon Cattell. And Cattell from 22nd on the grid up to 9th. What a start he's put in. And already trying to battle away with OJ Clark in 8th. He's definitely a man on the move. And look at that. And now up to there. Well, there goes Cattell then, up to 8th place. And his next target is going to be the Revolution Motorsport car of Lee Morris. Morris is there in 7th on your screen now. There he is, chasing down Mark Wicks in 6th. There's a fantastic scrap going on ahead though, which is for 4th. It looks like. In fact, it's for 3rd. Abbas and Melovic up the inside, and Melovic then goes to 3rd place. Stanton follows suit and goes into 4th. Big twitch from Mark Wicks behind is now. Morris is now being caught and is about to be passed, I think, by Cattell. It's all going off behind these two. With a look at this action everywhere in this last minute. The faster guys coming through the field, passing these effectively slower cars, and also to see in the back of Yanni Varner is trying to get 10th from Boyd Bryson. So those two battling away like crazy. And looks as though already the Carl Smith is starting to pull away and stretches out already the advantage that he has from Eric Tvite. That's incredible, the way he's just streaking away already. As we've now got Wicks and that looks like Clark battling away. Melovic is still there, and now we've got Morris and Cattell battling away for 5th place. And let's see exactly how the battle's going on, and this is how they're streaking through. So we're already seeing the front two trying to pull away, but this fantastic train of cars led by Simon Melovic as they head on to lap 3 here at Silverstone in the 3rd race of the GPVWC Masters meeting. Carlton sets the fastest lap of the race already. Look at that, 2 minutes 10.114. So really dangerously close to 1 minute 9s already as Abbas and Morris goes side by side. Abbas and Cattell, I think they're side by side. That's for 6th. And held up the inside holding station. Abbas tries to fight back, but he can't quite make the move stand. Well, Abbas will try it again down the Wellington straight. Meanwhile, Morris then is looking racy. He's deciding to tag onto the back of Mark Stanton. There he goes. Look, this is the battle now for 4th place as we watch these two move down towards Brooklands. And Tvite's already dropped to 1.47 seconds behind. So he's definitely losing out of a massive race. And Morris needs to do something to get him onto the podium again. By lucky means he needs to catch Melovic, who's only about 1 second ahead of him. So he's got definitely got pace. That's just behind. Look at that. Look, that's Cattell's going to the outside now of Stanton, and around the outside he goes. He goes quite wide, and also has serves a Bass. There's a lot of cars going very wide on the exit of that corner there. Now, is Cattell going to give that place back? Because will he claim that he was ahead? As I'm looking back, we can see that Stanton and Cattell going side by side, and Stanton is back through. That's now allowed Clark to get onto the back of Cattell. And get this working again. As now Cattell then gets into 5th place down on the straight. Clark is now in his slipstream. He's now going to go up the inside and through with him. So Clark will take advantage and take 6th. As already, Carlson's advantage now stretches to 2.1 seconds ahead of Tvite in 2nd. And a bit of a twitch on the exit there of Stowers behind. Varner looking up the inside, I think, of Mark Wicks. And also Boyd Bryson and Babassa battling in that quartet. As Carl Smith goes across the line, he goes to a 2 minutes 10.067. So the gap is now extended again now to 2.4 seconds. So Carl Smith looking to make it a hat-trick, his 4th win in a row. And aiming now to take the crown and the number 1 off of this man, Cattell, who is in better race than he had in race 2. Incredible that he's come up from 22nd on the grid. He's put an absolutely rapid getaway from the line. And I need to see exactly what's going on between 3rd place, because I'm not sure if Melovic is caught. But yes, there it is, of course, at just the right time. As there goes Morris then, up the inside into 3rd place now. Now the intriguing thing is, he's on lap 3, he's got 4 laps to go. This lap another 4 to go. What can he do? Try and close in on Tvite to make it 3 second places, if possible. Now he's going to make up about 3.5 seconds in that kind of 4.5 laps or so. And it's more like 3.5 laps, excuse me. Mellish gets a huge slide on the exit of Luffield, but controls it nicely. And let's see exactly what pace Morris has there. He seems to have one of the fastest cars out there. And he's managed to really come through the field from 13th on the grid up to 3rd already. So it seems to me that even though we've got the reverse grid format, as Mellish gets another slide through Copse this time. And Stanton goes very wide in the back, trying to chase after Clark. It seems to be that even though these boys are starting at the back of the field, Carl Smith is collected. Carl Smith and Morris and Cattell still know how to weave their way through the traffic and get themselves back up into the key positions in the reverse grid races. So exactly what he's doing. In fact, look at that, Cattell already is on the back of Mellish, and he has a whiff of a 4th place. Looks like he's definitely going to snatch it from him. Indeed he does. He manoeuvres the Innovision car into 4th past Mellish, but I think the RB Racing driver will have something to say about that almost, as there is, that's intriguing, there is Dwight in the foreground, and Morris is now starting to really close in, and he looks like he may possibly be able to do it. I think he may be able to possibly get that. And Morris has got the gap down already, looks like to 2.7 seconds. As Dwight falls back, it looks like as Cattell's just the fastest lap of the race, amazing, with a 2 minutes 9.824, so he's now the fastest man on the circuit at the moment. But as Dwight then falls away from Carl Smith, he's now falling back into the clutches of Lee Morris. That's exactly what Morris needs. He needs to catch them as quickly as possible. Gap is now, I think, 2.2 seconds now, so Morris is literally taking chunks of time out of the 2nd place that Dwight has. So he'll be hoping that he can stay there, but I'm not sure if that's going to stick for long. And I'm going to quickly just keep the track on these guys and see what's going on behind. Scott Bennett, who had a bit of a tough time, is up to 12th after starting in the back of the field. Bart DeVos has gone with him, he's now 13th. Jason Muscat's up to 14th, really good effort from him, well done for him. He started up to, look at 16th. And James Shepherd is he's still in 10th. And battling away with Mark Wicks, the Woods Racing machine. Emma Bass is now down to 8th. And that gaggle of cars that was going on seems to have spread out now with the faster guys coming through. Clark is back in 6th, he's falling away from Mellish. But now, this is intriguing because the gap now between Dwight and Morris is now 1.8 seconds, but the gap now between Morris and Cattell is now less than a second. You can see it visibly so, as Cattell and Morris fling through. And I think that Dwight made a mistake through the first part of the complex there, and look at that, he's now put Morris and Cattell right into Dwight's right into their clutches, right into his clutches. Let's put Dwight into the clutches of Morris and Cattell, if I rephrase that so it makes sense. And we still look at Mellish, apologies for that. We can get you back to 3rd place here. There we go, that's better. Right, Morris then has a great chance to grab 2nd place then, but he's going to have to watch behind because Cattell will be keen to take it back as Dwight gets very defensive. Look at that, almost pushing. That was Mellish. You have to watch it and look at that. Morris then gets a nudge from Cattell on the exit. And this trio then will then start the last lap, because this is now the last lap, I think. Is it the last lap? No, it's the penultimate lap. And now Morris then starts out just a little bit from the rear of the Tiger Express machine. And he knows how important it's going to be to try and get himself another 2nd place, because that will really boost his championship chances after an awful weekend at Monza. But at the same time, Cattell knows exactly how many points he needs, and he's also keen to get himself onto the podium. Now, bear in mind, these two get themselves past Dwight, which I'm pretty sure, if not as soon as the end of the Wellington Straight into Brooklands, I'm pretty sure they'll do it by the time the race is over. And you can see Dwight's already going defensive. Morris is going to try. Is he going to stick to the outside line? He will. But look, is Cattell going to go to the inside? No, he doesn't. He sticks behind and just watches what these two are going to do, and hopes for some fireworks that will result in him capitalising on an easy 2nd place. Morris is a wiser driver than he was last time out in the Masters Series. Obviously, less said about that the better. Let's just say it wasn't really a defining moment in his sim racing career, but we'll leave it at that. Meanwhile, this has been a pretty defining moment anyway in his sim racing career at the moment, as Morris then now goes to the outside. Will he have enough grip round Copse to make the move stick? He's certainly having a go. Dwight leaves in space. This will now give Morris the inside run towards Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. Clark is wide on the exit trying to chase after Mellish. And there goes Morris. Is there going to be contact? Well, Morris has to back out of it, put the brakes on. Is there any more contact? Was there any more contact? He gave him a bit of a nudge. And Morris then is really giving Dwight the hurry up, but then he's receiving the hurry up from Cattell down the back straight. Let's exactly see what's going to happen here. Cattell is bump drafting Morris down hanger straight as they go towards Stowe corner. Morris now will go to the outside. Is there enough grip? Looks like there is. This means that Morris now had the inside line down towards Vale and up towards Club. And he has the inside line, and looks like it's an easy move that time. But is he going to outbrake himself? He does. Goes over the. Oh, that's close. That's incredibly close. And as a result, he had to back out of that move. As Kaufman sets the fastest lap of the race, takes it over from Cattell. 2 minutes 9.799 to start the final lap. And as a result of the mistake, this puts now Simon Mellish onto the attack. He fancies to go at 4th place. He's definitely going to see if he can snatch it from Morris in the last lap. But has Morris got enough pace in that BMW to catch back up to the 2 cars in front? Or is there going to be fireworks? Is there going to be shenanigans in front? Because we've got Cattell now all over the back of Eric Dwight. And there goes Morris trying to get his nose up the inside. Has he made it stick? Bit of a twitch, but I think he may have just made it stick through Aintree onto the back straight. And he has got through. Bit of panel run, but I think he has just got the run. And yes, he has. So incredibly, that is now up to 3rd place. Now what can he do? He's going to have to watch out for Cattell behind, and Mellish fancies to go as well. It's a forecast wrap for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th on the final lap here at Silverstone, the final race of the evening. And now look at this, Morris is going to try and get himself into 2nd place now. The battle resumes with Adam Mellish. Pretty sure someone will like that adage at the end. But also I think OJ Clark's trying to tag onto this as well. He's just watching it in the background. And now look at this. Dwight goes defensive on the outside line. Now Cattell is going to follow him around the outside. Is Morris going to make it stick? I wonder. Have to keep tabs on where Carl Smith is. He's now through Magnus, Beckers and Chapel. And there's contact. I think was there a spin? I think there was. I was looking at Carl Smith, but there's now side by side between Cattell and Morris. And is there more contact? There's now, as Dwight's now dropped all the way down to 6th place. He's been passed by these 4. Now Mellish is onto the back of this. Mellish with a big slide through Maggots, and now onto the back straight. Now we're going to have to quickly switch away to Carl Smith. He's now going to come through Stowe corner for the final time, and what's been an incredible run in tonight's racing. And let's just summarise this then. He started 3rd in race 1 and won the race. Started from pole in race 2 as a result in race number 2, and now he's going to come around the final corner, and from 14th on the grid, it's a clean sweep for Dave Carl Smith. But I've got to keep track to this battle going on for 2nd place, and we'll cut to it in just a second as Carl Smith comes across the line. Now we can cut to it, and it's Simon Cattell in front at the moment, but Lee Morris is going to come through, and look at shut the inside. It's now Morris. It's going to be a photo move between these 3. Who's going to get it? Is it going to be 3 wide down towards the corner? And look at Cattell's gone wide. And towards the line, he's going to get it. Morris gets it just. Mellish gets 3rd, and Cattell gets 4th. What a fantastic result that was. As Clark gets 5th, Dwight gets 6th, and Mellish gets 7th. Sheff gets 7th as well. Great result for him. Abbas from pole gets 8th. Then Mark Stanton was 9th, and Scott Bennett rounding out the top 10. So, wow, what a finish that was. I wonder if we can quickly just look back to that and see exactly what was going on prior to that, so we can just quickly reverse that and have a look. So, if we go back to 2nd place Lee Morris then, and if we go to let's just quickly look back at this now. So we left it going down the back straight. I did see a couple of position changes. Let's have a look here then. So coming through here, so Morris then was chasing down. Let's watch this then. So Morris was chasing down Cattell, down into Stowe corner, made the move, went too deep, and Cattell did the switch back. Then Mellish thought, I'll have a go at this myself. Now Mellish defended. Morris went to the outside line, managed to go all around the outside of Vale. That must have surprised Cattell, and as a result put Mellish up his inside. Then I think, was there contact? Well, that's intriguing, because I think Cattell tried to go keep the line round the outside of Club Corner onto the pit straight to the line, ran out of room because I think Morris was trying to leave enough space for Mellish. That then put Cattell onto the grass out wide, and he actually finished bouncing over the grass, which put him into 4th place. So a pretty intriguing and fascinating finish to that race. So quickly then, before we get some interviews, there's a few more cars are still coming through to finish the race. Anyways, let's quickly go through the results and as they're still on my screen. And so it's incredibly a clean sweep of the races here for Dave Carl Smith, as he wins from Lee Morris in 2nd place, just with the battle with Simon Mellish and Simon Cattell. OJ Clark he was Morris second, Mellish third, Cattell fourth. Clark was fifth, ahead of Eric Dwight in sixth, James Shepherd in seventh, Leo Bass in eighth, Mark Stanton in ninth, and Scott Bennett running out the top 10. And the other key drivers that had tough races, Jason Muscat was 14th as well. Also had in that result, Nick Rowland didn't actually finish the race, unfortunately. Maybe we can find out from him a bit later on if he is in here. I'm not sure if he is at all, but we'll have a look in a second. I haven't looked at my team speak, so I don't know who exactly is in here. Excuse me. Bart DeVos also retired, unfortunately. It was 25th. And it just about wraps it. Also, David Jump was 21st, so a rather tough race for him as well. Right then, let's see who's turned up in the team speak. We have Dave Cosworth and Lee Morrison here, so that's pretty decent of them to come through. First of all, let's have a chat with the man who's dominated this evening, Dave. Absolutely fantastic driving from all three races to get all three victories. I just need to basically talk to you about that last race, that last start. I just need to ask, how on earth did you go from P14 to P1 in a single lap? Just talk us through it.
Well, the start was really good. I think I was up to about 6th by turn 2, just because people were so wrong-footed by their cold tyres. After that, it was pretty simple, because the guys at the front were battling, holding each other up. Just case picking the right line and making the move.
Excellent stuff. And obviously, you managed to get a decent start off in race 1 to take the lead. You obviously took off on race 2 and basically dominated. I mean, did you expect to be as dominant as you were tonight, or has it come as a surprise to you that you've managed to be able to win all 3 races? I mean, so relatively easily from our point of view.
I think I got a bit lucky. The first race, my start, really helped me. Lee and Simon were really close to me in that race, and then the second and third races, they both had pretty bad traffic, so that held them up, which helped me massively.
And of course, you've basically finished on the podium in every single race. You've taken 4 victories so far. It's early days, of course, in the championship, but of course, you have to possibly put yourself. It's probably maybe the classic line too early to think about the championship, but do you think essentially that with the results you've managed to achieve in the first 2 race meetings at Monza and Silverstone, that you definitely look as though you're in a good enough position to win the championship this season?
I would hope so. It's the first time I've really had a run like this in one of these series, so I hope it continues. But Lee improved a lot today, and can't discount Simon. So
excellent stuff. Well, congratulations, Dave, on a fantastic performance in all 3 races. Take all 3 victories, and congratulations, and of course, best of luck for the next round in Curitiba. On to Lee, who we spoke to just in the middle of race 1, and Lee, of course, just first of all, we're going to talk about race 2. Just talk us through that finish at the end of race 3, because it was an absolutely immense 3-way duel between yourself and the 2 Simons of Cattell and Melliwish. You managed to just get second on the line, but just how difficult was it to hold off those 2 at the end?
Oh, I'm still shaking. It was absolutely brilliant. Really hard racing, and that's what it's about. There was some bumper to bumper, wheel to wheel, door to door in some respects, but it was very hard. I got up to Eric Tvedt. I think at one point he got a bit loose going through the right-hander, the old turn 1. Copse corner, I believe. He got a bit sideways to there, and I had nowhere to go apart from his rear end, and I believe it tapped him out a little bit, but I had nowhere to go, basically, because he'd already spun. So apologies for that if I ruined his race as such. But got to say, well done to Dave as well for all 3 wins. I mean, just unbelievable. Couldn't match him today.
Compared to obviously the Monza race weekend, you definitely had a much better race weekend than you had. Obviously, you managed 3 second places. You definitely put yourself in a much stronger position championship-wise. Just talk about championship-wise. Do you think that if you're able to, unless you're able to, obviously, do you think obviously if you're able to challenge for the championship, obviously Dave is going to be your main rival. Do you think that there's going to be a point where you will be able to overcome and take a few race wins, or is that what you're hoping to do, or do you think that at the moment DCS seems to be the man to beat, and it's going to take some catching to try and top them off the top?
I'm not specifically a touring car person as such, as everyone knows. So I basically joined this year just to see if I can sort of improve a little bit in them, and it's working. It's getting there, race by race. The problem is, looking at the championship-wise, the problem is in race 3 last race at Monza, I didn't get any points because I got taken out early on. So that's instantly however many points behind straight away Dave. So Dave is the man for the championship definitely now. He's way in front. Cattell might win a few races, but I don't think he's got the consistency either to win the championship. I think Dave has, as he's shown tonight, every race just rock solid, not one mistake. I know I can do the sort of pace he's doing. I just can't get the starts, which is a big problem. Really can't get the start. They were better tonight, but they still weren't perfect. Championship-wise, he'd have to have a few bad races, a couple of DNFs, and maybe me win the race or something like that. But obviously you've got Cattell, you've got Shepherd tonight, who was unlucky in race 3, because I think he could have been up there as well. But apart from that, I'm not really aiming for the championship as such. I'd be just happy to take a few race wins, because touring cars ain't my thing. I don't think I can match these guys in them.
Excellent stuff. And just quick thoughts on moving ahead to the next race in 2 weeks in Brazil in Curitiba. Do you think it's going to be more the same? Do you think you'll be coming second against Dave Carl Smith, or do you think you'll be able to legitimately challenge for the race win? If so, do you think you're going to need to do knuckle down and get some practice in to try and stand the best possible chance to beat him?
I did quite a lot of practice for this race as well. Really worked on trying to work out why I didn't like touring cars before. I mean, for years and years, I've just never got on with touring cars, and I could never work out why. So it's this week, well, not this week, but last few weeks, I've put a big effort in. Obviously, Dave helped tremendously at Monza. He showed me some things that I were really nowhere near finding out. But this week, it's been fine-tuning. And even before the third race, just now, I did some fine-tuning before the race on a few settings. Because that's all it is at the moment to me. I think it's the setup more than anything. Because for some reason tonight, I was able to go quicker than these guys through the corners. I was catching Dave, I was catching James through the corners. But yet, maybe they've got a different setting on the car, or there's something missing, because on the straights they were pulling 3 or 4 tenths on me every single straight, and I know we're on the same wing levels and so on, so I'm really not sure. Maybe it's gearing, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe I'm just not changing gear at the right point in these touring cars, not using the rev band or something like that. But we'll definitely try and find it out for the next race, because if I could just find that last little bit, I could definitely take some race wins for sure.
Excellent stuff. Well, congratulations to both of you guys for your trio of race wins for Dave and of second places for Lee. Don't have anyone else waiting in the interview room. Looks like they want to be antisocial as usual. So what we'll do then is we'll go ahead and wrap up the broadcast. Just give you a quick reminder again, as we said earlier on, of some of the races that are coming up for GPWC, and of course ways you can keep in contact. Just quickly, with ways you can keep in contact with us, of course, you have GPVWC.com. You can obviously catch up with all the latest news, sign up to the forums, and if you fancy going a Super League, Super Cup, Formula One, Master Series touring car, or even want to take part in our brand new Winter GT series that kicks off in November, you can go ahead, sign up, and I think you've got what it takes. Come and join us. Also, ways you can keep in touch with us as well. Other ways, obviously, you can follow us on Facebook and on Twitter, and of course we have our YouTube page as well, which gives you mostly the Super Cup and Super League, I believe, also maybe Formula Challenge events as well on the YouTube broadcast, so you can catch the full reruns of those broadcasts as well. And yeah, next time you'll be able to see the touring cars will be, of course, in 2 weeks in Brazil for Curitiba, and the next GPWC action you will see is going to be next week, which is where we get the Super Cup and Super League Championships back on track, and that's going to be at the German Grand Prix at the Nürburgring, as we said earlier, September 5th for Super Cup and September 6th for Super League. So let's round it up then. If you have been watching, thank you very much for tuning in for the broadcast. It's been a trio hat-trick of victories for Dave Carter tonight, who's in here as well, and Lee Morris with a hat-trick of second places. Congratulations to both of them. And until next time, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for another Masters race in Curitiba. Bye for now.